Well, hello again. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to our show tonight. Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so glad that you guys are here. Woo! It has been a wonderful week. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. If you are new to the channel, my name is Woode with an E, and E stands for endocrinology. And at this channel, we help you understand your body so that you could take charge of your health, avoid complications, and live a healthy, fulfilling life. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the ultimate guide to managing your diabetes. That's right, the ultimate guide to managing your diabetes. This has been Diabetes Awareness Month, and tonight we're going to wrap up, we're going to tie up, put a bow, if you will, on all the things that we've been talking about, answering some of your questions tonight, and going a little deeper on some of the things that we have talked about over the past month. If you are new, go ahead and put new in your comments when you put that in, because we love to welcome you to our channel. If you have a question, put a Q in front of that question with a colon, and we'll know that that is a question that we need to get to. All right. So we're excited to get here. Let's see who is with us. Hello. Let's see. I think we have Maria out there. I think I saw her earlier. Let me see. Where is my... All right. So Maria saying, yeah, good evening, everyone. Hey, guys. We got Lauren out there. Hey, Lauren, how are you? Always good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. And yes, Laura, thank you for supporting us always. We are so excited that you are part of this family. Always a lot to learn every Monday. That's right. We thank you for that. You know, we have over the past few days, right? We're kind of getting over Thanksgiving. Some of you who may have traveled, some of you who may have stayed home. I don't know if you cooked over Thanksgiving. Go ahead and put me in the comments, right? If you cooked for Thanksgiving, put me. If people came to your house and that you were the place where all the fun happened, okay? Because for me, Thanksgiving was always one of those times, right? Because all the family got together, right? At my house, I grew up in Brooklyn. And so there were 6 of us kids, and we had cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents who came over, and we would cook up a storm and we would eat. That's right. We ate sometimes and our bellies were, oh my God. But this year we didn't do that. We did not eat like that. As a matter of fact, I was talking to my wife on one of our walks, and we were commenting that, you know, I was full. You know, I ate and I was full, and I even went back for seconds, but I didn't feel like I normally did, you know, kind of bloating and just kind of rolling around. So it was good. And my hat's off to all of the chefs and the people who cooked over this past Thanksgiving. We spent the day with family, and so we were excited to be with them. So yeah, so if you were the place where things happen, I want you to put me in the comments. Put me in the comments. And so, you know, we're going to, as we've talked about over the past month, that this was Diabetes Awareness Month, and we spent time talking about the history of diabetes, the history of insulin, and how that happened. We talked about diabetes medications. We took a break last week, and though it was a break from the normal talk about diabetes, we had father and son, Richard Harding and Senior and Junior, with us. And they shared with us their recipe for a spin on macaroni and cheese. So that was pretty nice. I didn't get to taste it, but you know, I'm gonna get with Richard, and we're gonna get some of that. But excited to be here. And so as we talk about diabetes, I want to spend tonight kind of going back through that, tying it, going a little deeper on some things, and then answering some of your questions. So let's go ahead and let's dive in and let's get started. So, you know, managing diabetes can sometimes feel like a heavy task, right? Let's be honest. You know, we've talked about the statistics. We've talked about, you know, complications. You know, almost 500 million people in the world who are living with diabetes. In the United States, 34.2 million. And it is a daily grind, man, you know, because everything is affected by diabetes. And so there's not a moment that someone who has diabetes is there where the diabetes has gone away. And it can be so all encompassing that it feels like there's this weight that's on you. And there's so many things that we didn't talk about with diabetes over the past month that are so big. Depression, like people who are diagnosed with diabetes, of course, at the beginning, right, they go through some depression, but over the course of their illness, sometimes depression sets in. There's embarrassment. And we'll share more of our story with you guys as we get into the future. But I tell the story sometimes of a young fella that I took care of. He's older now and off to college, probably almost finished college maybe. But he was on the swim team, and his mom said, he was diagnosed relatively recently, and he was on the swim team, and usually he would get out of the pool and he would hang out with the guys and gals who were on the team. But mom noticed that he started spending time away from the team. He'd get out of the pool, and kind of almost disappear, if you will. And so he comes in one day and we're sitting and we're talking, and I say, hey man, mom is telling me about this thing that's going on with you. What's happening? And he said, after some prompting, he said, Dr. Woode, when I get into the pool, right, if I'm in the pool for a while, then my fingers get, how when you hands are in water, right, they get that kind of wrinkly feeling, right? And he said, and if people look, they could tell where I've been checking my blood sugar. The Lancets, you can tell. And he didn't want anyone to know that he was diabetic. Yeah. So there's, so those types of things, we don't talk much about it, but there's this burden that people feel like it's so heavy. And I want to let you know that you're not alone. Okay. And what works for you may not work for everyone else. And so we have, over the course of the management of diabetes, we've gone from one place to another. We used to say, okay, all diabetics, they fit into this this mold, and that's where they've got to be. And we have come now to the point where we're saying, okay, we've got to start dealing with individualized therapy. Okay. Now, there are some commonalities. There are some things that are kind of general guidelines that we use as we talk about diabetics and as we talk about how do we manage them. But we start to look, well, how is that person different? Because guess what? Here's something. And once again, we're talking about these things that we don't mention. But in the management of diabetes, foods affect us differently. There are some foods that a person out there who's listening, who's watching, can eat that I can't eat because it does something different to me, or I can't eat a lot of it, right? So learning those things are very important in the management of blood sugars and management of diabetes. Now, if we ignore that, then there's frustration and there's failure, because we have these unmet needs. We have these unspoken requests, these unspoken goals that don't seem to be achievable because we're not taking that person into consideration. So all those things, we've got to kind of look at, we've got to kind of deal with. So when we talk about managing diabetes, as we get to the new year, right? As we move into this new year, everybody's now starting to think, okay, what am I going to do? My New Year's resolution, right? Starting to write things down. People are now start talking about their vision board. And you guys see here behind me, that's my vision board. Over there, right? That's my vision board for 2021, right? So people are starting to get these ideas of what am I going to do? And what you need to do really is what I recommend is get started now. Right? Get started now. The temptation is to wait for the start of the new year so that, you can do it. But starting now gives you extra momentum. And it kind of helps you as you get through this last month, right? We're in about to get into December. Get into this last month. It gives you the ability, it gives you the plan, right, to get into the new year already running, right? So don't wait until the new year starts to get into it. Let's go ahead and let's get started. And it gives you that extra momentum. Okay. Keep records. Now I know there's this thing that happens in our minds when we think about recording stuff, right? And they're like, oh my God, am I gonna do it? How am I gonna do it? How it's gonna take time, right? And there are all these things that come into our mind about keeping records. But when we keep records, a lot of different things happen, right? It allows us to track our progress. And when we are seeing progress, right? When people see progress in what they're doing, the motivation gets there, right? So you can't imagine what it's like to see, that you have made some strides. And all of a sudden, right, that second win, if you will, that whatever it is kicks in and says, okay, I can do this, right? So I'm going. Just yesterday, right, my son and I, so he's on basketball team, and he's winning with his coach, and the coach said, hey, we got to work on some push-ups and strengthening the core and running and so forth. And so I got down, and so we were doing push-ups. And yeah, I'm not as young as I used to be, but yeah, I got down there with him, and I'm doing some push-ups with him, and we got to almost to the last one. I said, "Come on, man, we can do it. Oh, we can, right?" So that second win kicking in and say, "Okay, we can do this," right? Because it is something that we want, and imagine the power that gives you when you see that you have set a goal and you are accomplishing that goal. Okay, it allows you to adjust when things aren't working, because if you're not tracking, guess what? You don't know if it's working. But if you're recording it, you can see, okay, well, that didn't work for me today. Let me try something else. This one is working better. Let me do some more of that, right? So there's all of that with tracking, and it is so good to do. Support is important. Support is so important, because there's nothing like doing things with other people. Okay? Remember, once again, you're not in this alone. You will be surprised at how many people are out there, people who are in the same position that you're in and thinking they're by themselves. They are alone. That nobody really understands. And you're reaching out to them, right? Can help. Your family, your friends. There are a lot of people in your circle, right, that may need some help, and you may be the one to help do that. So creating your own support system, right? So reaching out and doing that. And then joining support groups. Very important, because there are on the internet, right? So Facebook, if you go and you search for diabetes support groups or health support groups or diet support groups or any of those types, type 1 support groups, people on insulin support groups, people who are on, and I could go through and name a bunch of medications that we talked about, right, in one of our shows. There are support groups of these people that are out there, and so don't stay in isolation, right? Don't stay in isolation, because you can be of benefit to someone else, and there is someone out there that can be of benefit to you. Okay. Part of my support system, and I'm getting better at accepting some of the support, is my wife, right? My family, right? So there are all these people that are out there that can speak into what we're doing, and so very important that that we allow that. Okay, stress management. Wow. If you've not watched the video that we did on why stress raises our blood sugar, go ahead and do that, please. We'll put a card up, and we'll put that in the link. But just so important, because it's one, again, of the things that we don't talk about. We don't talk about the stress, right? It's like, put your head down, get to the grind, do your job, manage the diabetes, and just move on. But there's so many things that stress can do in terms of raising blood sugars, and not just stress, but other things, right? Sleeping and anxiety and depression, and all those things have an impact on blood sugars. And being able to manage those is so important, right? So develop a method. And I don't know what the method is for you. Is it finding a hobby, right? So yes, hobby, whether it's basketball or sailing or the sports, right? So golfing or whatever it is that you do, right? Yoga, meditation, you do arts and crafts. In fact, I'm hoping, let's see if Mama guys, I'm hoping to be able to incorporate some of that as we go and talk into the year on what are some things that we can do, right, to reduce our stress, right? And you can find that. You can do those things and develop those in your life as part of your routine in what you're doing. So important. And then give yourself grace. I don't know if you heard the video that we did the day after Thanksgiving, and it talks about the fact, or actually the one for Thanksgiving, right? So the very first thing that I said was you are allowed to enjoy the season. Guys, I mean, one of the reasons that we manage blood sugars is so that we can keep you alive, so that we can stay alive. I'm putting myself in there, right? Because I live with diabetes. So one of the reasons that we manage diabetes is so that we could stay alive as long as possible and be as healthy as possible so that we can enjoy what? Life, right? So enjoy the season. Oftentimes people are afraid of the season if they are living with diabetes or some, other disease processes as well. But go into the season expecting to be victorious, expecting to be successful, expecting to enjoy the people and the events that surround the season, understanding that, yes, I live with diabetes. And so there are some things that I'm going to have to be conscious of. But don't allow that to cause you sitting in the corner and not enjoying the people that are there. Because that's what makes the management beneficial, right? Otherwise, I can lock myself in this room, right? And my wife can, stick a glass of water, a cup of water through the door and a piece of bread. Well, sorry, a piece of celery, right? And my blood sugars will be perfect. Yeah, I would have great blood sugars. But that's not the quality of life that we want. And so we want to strike a balance. Okay, so as we get into the season, right, give yourself grace. Progress, not perfection. Progress is what we want, not perfection. And develop a plan to get back on track. What did I say? That's right. Develop a plan to get back on track. Because guess here, I wish I can get this closer to me. But guess what? There are going to be some times during the year where you're not going to be on the plan that you developed, right? It's going to happen. Life happens, right? So even if you plan to live a perfect, okay, this is my plan, I'm sticking to this plan, I'm not doing anything else. Guess what? Something is going to happen where that day, that week, whatever is going on, you're not going to be on the plan. And if we are not preparing to be off the plan and get back on the plan, it's going to take a lot longer, right? Because it's, oh man, I messed up. That's it. And so the process of getting back, because we're not sure how to do that, becomes daunting. And so a week goes by, a month goes by, several months go by, and we look up one day and we're down the road because, quote unquote, we got off of our plan 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. Don't let that happen, right? Develop, how am I going to get back on the plan? How am I going to get back on my plan? Get back on track if for some reason I get off, okay? And then here's a diabetes checklist, right? So what do we do, right? What do we do for diabetes? What should I be doing? What should I be expecting? And so here it is, right? And this comes courtesy of the American Diabetic Association, some of their recommendations. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, right? Meaning it's not everything that they've recommended, but these are the general things that they've recommended. So every 3 months, right, you should be at least, you should be seeing your physician. You should be seeing your healthcare provider if you live with diabetes. And it actually says every 3 to 6 months. Okay. Because it depends on what's going on, how well you're controlled, and so forth. And that, we won't get into those nuances, but every 3 months or so, right, you should be seeing your healthcare provider. Your hemoglobin A1C should be checked every 3 months. Remember, the hemoglobin A1C is a marker of how things are going over the course of 9 months. All right. And I don't know if I talked a little bit about what the A1C was and how it works. So you can imagine that those blood cells, right, the red cells in particular, are being born, and they live on average 90 days. Okay. We won't talk about all the ramifications, but 90 days. And so that blood cell is, they have that phrase, clean, smooth as a baby's bottom. Yeah. So when that cell is born, right, when it comes out of the marrow, that cell is pristine, if you will, is clean. And as it moves its way through the blood is filled with sugar. And so you can imagine that sugar is globbing on to, right, that's a very medical word, globbing. So the sugar is attaching to the red cell. And as it goes through the blood, the red cell, the higher the sugar, the more, right, that get onto the cell. And then we take that cell essentially and we put it under a microscope or in the machine. And the machine, or we count how many sugars have, glycosylated is what it's called, how many sugars are on that. And based on that, we can tell what the average blood sugar for that 90 days is. Okay. Now, one thing that I've started talking to people about recently, and we don't necessarily talk about this a lot, and not that it's a secret, but it just doesn't come up, right? So the blood sugar is represented by the A1C, and so the A1C is a 90-day marker of where those blood sugars are, right? Well, the last 30 days of that 90 days has a heavy impact on the A1C compared to the first 2 months, right? So the first 60 days are not as I don't want to say important, but the last 30 days has a heavier impact on the hemoglobin A1C. Okay, and then weight and blood pressure should be checked at least every 3 months. And once again, I said 3 months, but if you are having issues with your diabetes, your healthcare provider may have you come in sooner or more often, right? Because remember, this is a progress, right? And so we want to make sure that we are progressing. And then every 6 months, right? Every 6 months, a dental visit. And then every year, right? Every 12 months, a foot exam, all right, to make sure that we are not having cracks and calluses. We don't have any fungus. We don't have any breaks within the toes, on the feet. Eye exam to make sure there's not retinopathy. Check in cholesterol, kidney function, liver function. All those things are things that should be done, and we want to make sure that we're covering the entire system, right? And then a flu shot every year should be done. Okay, so we're going to pause there for a minute, and we're going to come on back and let's see who we have out there. Hey guys, okay, so I think Lauren is answering. She said, "Me, first time cook." Oh, good, Lauren, awesome. So you did the cooking. So in addition to that, so we're going to go through this, but in addition to that, I want you guys to put what is the favorite thing that you had for Thanksgiving this year. Okay, so whether it was the turkey, was it the dressing, was it whatever it is, I want you to put that in there. Of course, you guys will make me a little hungry, but so Maria said, "Hi, everyone. Remind us, please put Q before your question." And then, of course, type new if this is your first time. Please remember to subscribe and share. And Hazel Santos. Hey, Hazel, how are you? Welcome. Glad that you are here. Good evening. Good evening. And hi, thank you for joining us tonight. So let me actually hop over here and let's do that since we're talking about this. Here we go. All right. So if you've not already done so, please hop over to all of our social media. You can find us on LinkedIn, TikTok, of course, here on our on our YouTube channel and on Mondays at 7, Twitter, and then Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee, for those of you guys who don't know, that's a way that you were able to support what we do here on this channel, improving education and expanding our community. If you want to see more of our exciting content, please, once again, Monday nights here at 7 o'clock, our TikTok, 10 a.m. on Fridays, and then every day, Twitter. If you go there, you will see that we will put out, tips and tricks, different things for you to there about how to sleep and how to stay healthy, recipes, wonderful thing for you to look at. Okay. All right, and then let's see. So Marlene says macaroni. That's right, Macaroni Trees. Awesome, right? So I don't know. Did you try what Richard and father and son did, or was this your own recipe, Marlene? What did we have? We had roast. We had collard green. Yeah, we had greens, sweet potatoes. We had soup. Lots of different things. So we're excited about eating on Thanksgiving. All right. All right. And so let's get back over here. And then, guys, set yourself up for success. Set yourself up for success. So develop a routine. Routine is so important as part of what we do, because if it becomes routine, then it doesn't seem like such a daunting task, right? And the last time we talked, I talked about brushing your teeth. I'm gonna bet that there are very few of you out there, whether you're listening live or whether you are looking at the replay. There are very few of you who have had people remind you recently to brush your teeth, right? And why is that? Because it has become a routine. You get up, you go to the bathroom, you do what you've got to do, you get the toothbrush and you brush your teeth, right? And there may have been some days where you come out of the bathroom and it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't brush my teeth. So you go back in, right? But that happens infrequently. And so develop a routine for managing your diabetes, particularly for checking blood sugars, right? One of the reasons to check blood sugars, and let's throw that in here, is because not only does it help you to know where you are and how to make adjustments, but it also helps your physician decide how to treat you, right? Because the decisions your physician makes is based on your A1C, right? Because it's a marker. We just said 90 days. It's also based on where the blood sugars are. If they're high in the morning, are they high at night? Are they high in the middle of the day? So all those things, having a record, having that blood sugar helps with that. Okay, so check your blood sugar. We talked about recording, and I mentioned in one of our other videos that you can use the app that comes with your meter. Right, a lot of the meters now have apps that will go to your phone, and you can sync with your meter so that you have something that tracks it. Also, there are other apps, right? So I was recently reviewing a journaling app, right, and one that I've used before, and kind of got away from, and I recently started doing that for a project that we're doing, and so looking at the app and saying, okay, man, wow, look at this. It's right there. It's right there. And so developing a routine, make it convenient, make this convenient, right? So don't put your meter, right, in the den or in the family room, right, where I brush my teeth, I get dressed. Okay, I'm on the way. Oh my goodness, let me go grab it, right? That's not convenient. And most likely, if it's over there, guess what? It's not going to be of very good value to you, because you're going to forget. It's not going to be convenient. And then simplify the process. So I'm going to take that L out of the word process, right? Simplify the process. And what does that mean? That means that there are some things that you can do to make your life in the management of diabetes simpler. For example, so last week we had father and son cooking on, right? And so we talked a little bit about food prep, right? That's a big deal, right? For some people, particularly, if you've got a big family, or even if you don't have a big family, right? You're just busy. And so sometimes people eat the way they eat. They have the habits they have because it's a lot to now step back and process the food and cut the food and prepare the food and so forth. So maybe you need to get a service that helps you with that, right? That may help you with food prep, right? With a menu, right? Something that you send the information to them, and Richard Harding said that they do this, where they will create for you a menu, a meal plan for the week, so that you don't have to do that. Now, for all of you out there who are entrepreneurs, people who are, you've got your own business, you've got other things that you're doing, think about the time that you save, the time and energy that you save with having something like that done, that you could then put that time and energy into your creative ability, your creative process, your creative thoughts, so that you can generate more income and maybe pay for it, right? Maybe pay for the service, right? So there's all this stuff that's out there that we can have access to, right? So simplify the process. You can do it. If you simplify the process, you'll be fine. You'll be amazed at how we can go ahead and manage our diabetes. Okay? So the ultimate guide for managing your diabetes, right? So those are the things that I wanted to kind of share with you guys. We're going to jump over here in a minute and answer some questions. So remember to put the Q there so that we can grab those, and we will answer those as we go. Okay. All right. So let's see who we've got. Let's go back. So Marlene is answering. Let's jump back over here. Okay, there we go. So Marlene, so this is an answer to my question about what did we have. So this was very much soul food. Oh, okay. Are you talking about what you had or what we're talking about? Oh, okay. Awesome. So here is a question that Hazel has. She says, there are times that my mother would eat a slice of cake and would crave soda. Is it okay to cheat? She would feel bad if she won't do it at least in a month. So I like this question, Marlene. Very good question. And so basically she's saying, hey, she eats a slice of cake and she craves soda, and she says, is it okay to cheat? Is it okay to cheat? Now, I want to take, Marlene, that word cheat out of your question. Okay. And the reason I want to take the word cheat out of the question, because it almost sounds like, we're doing something really bad, right? So we're going to cheat. But I want you to think of it, and I want your mom to think of it, and all of you to think of it as building it as part of your plan. Remember we talked about creating a plan, right? Creating a meal plan, creating a routine, creating whatever it is, right? Put it as part of your plan. Whatever the thing is, right? So you like candy, you like cookies, you like whatever it is, right? Build it into your routine. Now, you've got to know yourself, and you've got to understand that there are some things that you may have to be more careful with, okay? So if you know that, you can't eat 1 scoop of ice cream, don't bring a gallon of ice cream into the house. Okay? Don't bring a gallon of ice cream into the house. If you know that you can't, whatever it is, you've got to understand, you got to know yourself. But build it into your routine. So it's not a cheat day. It's not a cheat time. It's not this salacious thing that you're doing. This is part of my routine, right? This is my norm, right? And so make this your norm, because when it's not your norm, when the cheat day is the thing, right? So that's the thing out there that we're going to do. Then it almost sets you up for failure, right? So remember, we're always trying to set ourselves up for success. So build it into your day, okay? Or build it into your week and so forth, okay? All right, let's see. Let's grab a couple of other questions now. So let's see, what do we got? So how did you all get your numbers under control? I have tried everything. How did you all get your numbers under control? So let's be honest, right? So my numbers are not always under control. Yeah, you heard me say it. And there are times that I've got to say, okay, how do I get back on track? Right? Something has happened, some event, something has happened that I'm not currently on my plan. And how do I get back on track? And part of it is tracking, right? So when I do a good job of tracking, I see it. And when I see it, I'm more likely to respond to it. Okay? So that's the key. Tracking and having some support. So very, very, very important. I like that. Very good question. Let's see. Let's hop with this one. Is eating pie without the crust better? Is eating pie without the crust better? So as always, I preface this by saying that you've got to know yourself. Okay, so let's think about it, and just a general rule, right, or general principle. I guess we want to say rule. General principle that I want to give is we want to, as we're diabetics, we want to continue to watch our carbs, right? So it's not a no carb, it is a managed carb meal plan is what we're on, and so. If we're going to eat something, right, if I have a piece of pie and I take the crust off and that allows me to eat this other thing over here, then fine. But if I'm going to eat the pie and that's all I want, then sure, I can eat the pie with the crust. But the crust is extra carbs, right? So that's the idea. So we want to manage our carbs. Always, always, always manage on carbs. And then, we used to say, a lot of times we say that carb is a carb is a carb. And for the most part, I think it makes sense. But remember, there are some carbs, right, that have some other related issues with them. Okay? So where do carbs tend to go when you eat them? Right? Yeah, they go right here, right? So you can't see, but right? So they kind of go around the midsection, right? They go around the midsection. And so as we're managing carbs, remember that we want to try to eat carbs that are not going to be easily and readily stored as fat around the midsection or other places, right? And that they won't drive our blood sugars up. Okay, so very, very good there. All right, let's see what else we got. Why is my reading so different from one meter to another? Okay, very good question. And this goes back to one of our, I don't know if it was the last one that we did or the one before, but it goes to the fact that meters can be different, right? The reactions that are in the meter, that the way they measure blood sugar, the reaction can be different, and meters are allowed to be about 20% different from one to another. Okay, so that is if you get a blood sugar of 100 on 1 meter and you check it in a different meter, then that blood sugar can be anywhere from 80, right, to 120, so 20% lower or 20% higher. Okay, so that's the range. So that's a very good question. I like that. All right, how do diabetics control carbs? Full or net carb fiber? I'm so afraid to eat anything carb related. All right, so how do diabetics count carbs, right? Full or net carbs, so on and so forth. Okay, so once again, here the principle is this: managing carbs. Okay, so that's the first idea. So if you ask me, all right, if you ask me, should I eat apple pie or I know pound cake, apple pie or pound cake, and you're interested in the fiber in the apple pound and the pound cake, I would say, you know what, the fiber doesn't really matter in that case. Because we're talking about, I mean, the amount of sugar, right? The amount of sugar that's in either of those makes the fiber inconsequential, right? So it's not a fiber issue. It's a, my God, pound cake and apple pie, right? All right. Not that there's anything wrong with those, but don't worry about the fiber in those things, right? The first thing, if we're trying to control blood sugar, is we got to decrease the amount of carbs that we're putting in. Okay, and that's the important thing. Now, if you've dealt with those issues, and now we're talking about the fiber in a leaf of spinach versus the fiber in celery, right? Then fiber is important, right? But if we're talking about those big things, then that's not really a something to kind of worry about, right? All right, let's see. When testing, 2 hours after meal, how much time is too late for an accurate test? Okay, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So good question, and once again, as I answer these questions, I'm always saying, okay, what is the principle that I want people to get from these? So when we're checking blood sugars, routinely, it makes sense to check blood sugars prior to a meal, prior to eating the meal, okay? And that is, right before the meal. Ideally, right before the food goes into the mouth, that's when we should check. Now, if you are on medication, for instance, insulin, which you need to take, at a distance before the meal, we tell people 15 minutes before a meal. Excuse me. If you're there and you are needing to do that, then you've got to check blood sugars earlier. Okay. But if that's not the case, checking blood sugars right before the meal, so that you know what that blood sugar is. And people say, well, why don't I check blood sugar after the meal? And because we want to know what the blood sugar is without food there, right? How am I doing with my blood sugars without food? And then if we see an issue, then we come back and say, okay, what are my blood sugars? What are my blood sugars now as the food gets in, right? So the first one gives us, okay, what are my blood sugars without the food? How's my body and all the things I'm doing to manage my blood sugar? How is that doing? And then after meal tells me, okay, what effect does the food have on my blood sugar? And we typically say that if you're going to check blood sugars after a meal, it should be about 2 hours. Okay. 2 hours gives us a good representation of what your body has done. In fact, the diagnosis of diabetes, one of the ways to diagnose diabetes is what the blood sugar is 2 hours after a meal, right? 2 hours postprandial. If your blood sugar is 200 or higher, then you're considered to be diabetic. Okay. All right. Good question. I love it. Love it. All right. Let's see. Marlene has a question here. Let's see if I can pull that up. Okay. Is it true that all good turns into sugar? That all good, food. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, that all food turns into sugar. Good question, Marlene. Wow. So all food turns into energy. Okay, so food turns into energy. And proteins get broken down to amino acids. Fats get broken down to triglycerides, and then glycerol and free fatty acids, and of course carbohydrates get broken down into sugar, right? And there's lots of different sugars, but they get broken down to sugar, and all those components are used in the energy process. So sometimes, for instance, proteins can go into the liver. They're packaged by the liver, and then they're broken back down, those amino acids. So you've heard of like gluconeogenesis, and there's we can go down. We can have a huge, long conversation about the energy processes in the body, but they're all used as energy, right? All used as energy. Okay, I think I answered that question, right? Yeah, Marlene says yes. She's talking about food. Yeah, so very good. Thank you. All right. Let's see. How will my diabetes affect my pregnancy? Oh, that's a good one. And once again, we did a video on gestational diabetes. So if you've not watched that one, go watch that one as well. So the reason we control blood sugars in pregnancy is because we're trying to decrease the complications to the baby and to mom. So both, right? So we're trying to decrease the complications. So let's talk about baby first. So the baby gets all of his nourishment or her nourishment from mom, right? So the placenta is connected and food comes into mom, goes through the placenta and goes to the baby. So when the blood sugars are very high, it's like that baby is eating all the time and eating a very high calorie diet. So what happens to people who eat all the time and eat high calorie diets? That's right, they get bigger, right? So high blood sugars in pregnancy lead to big babies. And there are complications to the baby, aside from the being big baby, is they can have heart issues, right, related to blood sugars. They can have blood issues, right? So polycythemia, for example. So those babies, right? And when they're born, imagine this, right? So fast forward. So baby has been connected to mom and getting this constant flow of sugar, right? So the baby's body begins producing a lot of insulin to combat the sugar that's coming across the placenta. And then baby is born, and what happens to the placenta, the connection with mom? Placenta, it goes away. So there is now no connection, but the baby's body is still producing the insulin. And so what happens to the baby's blood sugar? Right, the baby's blood sugar drops. And so those babies of moms who have high blood sugars, if they're not controlled, they end up having hypo, so low blood sugar when they're born, and they end up having to have glucose infusions to keep those blood sugars up until the body equilibrates and the insulin level normalizes. So those are issues for the baby. And then for mom, a big baby has got to come out of somewhere, right? And so particularly if this is a vaginal birth, so now mom has trauma, episiotomies and those things because of the birth canal is not big enough for the big baby. And then during birth, the baby can also have damage, right? Because the baby can't easily maneuver through the birth canal, and so we can have shoulder dystocia, which is damage to the shoulder. So all those things can happen. So those are reasons that we control blood sugars in pregnancy. So very good question. Very, very good question there. And let's see. What's the opinion on the keto diet? What's the opinion on the keto diet? Oh, wow. So the keto diet, and let me back up from keto diet for a minute. And let me say that all diets work. That's right, I said it. All diets work if they fit into your routine, right? If they fit into your all diets work. Because a lot of diets, the reason they work is because they are calorie restricted, right? Whether it's restricting carbs or restricting fats or, right? So they work. And if you can work them into your plan, then they work and they are beneficial. Now, talking specifically about the keto diet is a low carb diet. Because the idea is to decrease the carbohydrates so much that the body now begins burning ketones, or begin burning, I'm going to say fat, but for the purists, right? So fats for everyone else is you're burning fat, and you are producing ketones, and then the body uses ketones, right? And so it's actually a reasonable diet. It is, you hear on the internet, people have got books and videos and all kinds of stuff on keto, right? So not just because they have it, it works, but it does work as part of a diet. Now, there are a couple of caveats I want to throw in there. The first one is when we talk about patients who live with type 1 diabetes. Patients who live with type 1 diabetes are prone to developing ketoacidosis, right? That's a severe form of hyperglycemia, low insulin, the body's not able to use sugar, and so it starts burning ketones. And when the body burns sugar, it's kind of like the exhaust in your car, right? It burns gasoline, and out the back of it comes exhaust, which is waste. When the body burns sugar or burns fat, because it can't burn sugar, then it produces ketones, which is a waste product. And for type 1 diabetics, those ketones can be dangerous. And the trick is we don't know when someone flips from being in ketosis, that is, ketogenic from the keto diet, and they flip into ketoacidosis. Okay, and so that is one of the reasons that I don't typically recommend it for my type 1 patients. Okay, now under close observation and so forth, perhaps, but I don't usually, unless someone is seeing me very frequently, I usually don't do that for type 1s. And then the second thing is sometimes there is a problem if people are not monitoring themselves. You guys have heard of the keto flu, right? And so this is, and there's so many theories about why this happens and how it happens, but people can get into trouble, stress if they're not drinking enough water, if they've cut the carbs too low, not eating a regular diet, or not regular, meaning not regular food, but on regular intervals, then they can get into trouble as well. Okay. All right. Let's see who we got some blind guy. She said, "I've been in a meeting and couldn't sneak and type, but thanks for always bringing the goodness, Dr. Woode." Thank you guys for being here. Glad that you are with us. So Maria is saying, "Hey, blind guy, his wife, their life. Nice to see your name in the chat again." And so they're saying hello, Maria. Very good. All right, let's see what else we got. How long will it take this medicine to work? So it depends on the medicine, right? So medications take different amounts of time. For the insulins, right, that's a pretty simple, I think, idea is that our short-acting insulins, and there's a new one out that's ultra short, if you will, that starts working within 15 minutes. It's lasts for an hour and is gone by 2 to 3 hours. There's insulin that starts in 15 minutes, peaks at 2 hours, gone at 4 hours. Insulin that takes about 45 minutes to an hour to get started, and then it kind of a gradual, and these are typically our basal insulins, right? They kind of last for 24 hours. Some of our intermediate acting insulins, they get in, they start working, 45 minutes to an hour, they peak at 2 to 4 hours, and they're gone by 6 hours. So it depends on that. So insulin, that's how those work. For the other medications, it depends on how often you're taking them, right? So for most medications that you take once a day, and I'm going to throw a term, kind of a technical term in here, but it takes about 5 half-lives. What does that mean? It takes about 5 administrations of that medication to kind of reach the state at which it begins working. And different medications have different half-lives, okay, and therapeutic levels. So it depends on the medication. So very good. Thank you for that question. All right. Are there any times when I should change the amount of medication I take? And the answer to that one is there are, but with the direction of your physician, right? With the direction of your physician. We kind of teach patients in our office how we want them to adjust medication. That's right. We actually have them sometimes adjusting their medication depending on what we're doing with them and how they are progressing. There are patients who are who live with diabetes. We're also trying to control their weight, and so we kind of have to balance those things. I've gotten calls from trainers who are working with patients of ours, or people who are seeing them as part of weight management programs, saying, "Hey, I'd like to do such and such," and we've talked to those patients about how to adjust it. But like I said, always with the direction of your healthcare provider. Okay. What should I do if I forget to take my medicine? Very good question. What should I do if I forget to take my medicine? And the answer is, once again, depends on your healthcare provider, on how they've instructed you. For a lot of medication, insulin, and I always start there because that's, even though insulin is a big gun, it's probably the easiest to talk about. If you forget to take your insulin before your meal, depending on what you've eaten, I tell patients to go ahead and take it. Right? Because the blood sugar is going to go up. And we know that the blood sugar is going to go up, and particularly if you're eating a carby meal, that's going to happen. So don't think that, well, I didn't take my medication, I didn't take my insulin, but I ate this stuff and I'll just deal with it later. Because depending on what you've eaten, those blood sugars can get significantly elevated. Okay? So just be careful with that, and always check with your healthcare provider. Okay, I like it. Let's see. I hear people speak proudly about the keto flu and its rites of passage, like like they have arrived. I'm thinking it sounds like your body is screaming, "Stop!" I'm gonna put that back up. So body's screaming, "Stop!" Yeah, I mean, the keto flu it's no joke. It's no joke. So let's back up for a minute and do a little analogy, right? So you've known people who've been on diets, right? And they've cut their calories and they've cut their carbs. I mean, very, very low, right? And what are those people like? Yeah, they're kind of cranky, right? Why are they cranky? They're cranky because they're backing down on the energy, right? And they've gone to such a low amount that they're not used to that, right? Now, having said that, I mean, a lot of us have a lot of energy that we can pull from. So those first few days, it's both a mental and a physical thing. Okay? And if we're not drinking enough water, if we're not getting enough rest, if we're under stress, those are probably not times to, quote unquote, go on a diet, right? To go on a diet. So yeah. And so you can magnify that now in keto flu, right? And there's so many different things that are going on in the body, right? Because the body is like, oh my God, what's going on? Right? So very, very, very interesting there. And then I think there was a question that I saw, and I can't find it right now. But the question was, I've heard that bariatric surgery is a treatment for diabetes. Is that true? Or a treatment for reversing diabetes. Is that true? And I answered that question once again. I always try to say, what is the principle that we want to put forth? And there are people who totally and absolutely disagree with having surgery for weight loss and surgery for diabetes management, and there is a place for that. But speaking specifically about the surgery, is that oftentimes when we have someone who is a diabetic who goes into surgery, and I want you guys to listen to this, right? This is amazing, and we still don't understand why this happens. So the person shows up in the morning, right? So yesterday they took all their medication, and they may be on whatever number of insulin and diabetes medications. And they show up that morning having taken whatever it is that they take for their management of their diabetes. And they go into surgery. And the surgery happens over the course of the day. And they come out of surgery. And that night, they don't have to take any insulin. That's how quickly that happens. yes, it is. It is amazing to see. I can think of several people who, I was called to the hospital. They came in for surgery and we adjusted their medicine, and they're there and they have the surgery, and I come back to see them that evening, and they don't have to take any more insulin. Right. So it's amazing what can happen. Now, the whole thing of, should we do surgery? That's another conversation. And we may have that. If you're interested in that kind of thing, put that in the comments or drop us a line, and we'll see if we can have one of the surgeons on to actually talk about the surgery. OK, so let me give you my thought for today. And it is this. As we look over the past year, there are so many times that there were twists and turns in what happened to us. Whether that's on our jobs, in our families, in our finances, in our health. And we may not have thought that we would be here at the end of November. We just came through Thanksgiving season, and I was amazed to just be able to kind of relax and be with family, to watch my son as he interacted. He's growing up. We're still standing. We are here, people. We are here. And we're heading into the final month of the year. And as we look into the new year, 2022, as we look into the new year, 2022, what are we thankful for? What are we thankful for? There are families, there are jobs, there's health. I woke up this morning and my eyes opened up and I thought to myself, I'm alive. I had good rest and I slept well. And that set the tone for my day today. When I got to work, the computers were acting crazy, the internet was down. And I was talking to my wife and she said, oh, what a way to start the day. And I said to her, my day already started before this. And so this is just par for the course. So what is your routine? How do you begin your day? What sets the tone for how you interact with people? Once again, that idea of the routine. As we get into the new year, don't wait until the new year to develop a routine. And the first thing that I want to encourage you, to advise you, to promote is that you begin with gratitude. I'm so grateful that you guys have been part of this community as we grow this channel. I'm so grateful for the comments and the questions. I'm so grateful for the encouragement that you guys give. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of what we do. Be grateful, and you will find that it will be a very good place to start your day, a good foundation to get you through the rest of this year. All right, let's see. What do we got? Let's get some, my final answer. Marlene said my finest. I want the surgery. I want the surgery. I love that, Marlene. Awesome. Said thanks for the keto breakdown. It sounds like a state of emergency that we can avoid. I like that. And then Maria, begin with gratitude. Always begin with gratitude. Well, guys, as always, thank you all for being here tonight. We're always glad to have you for this time that we spend on Monday night. Like this video, please, and send it to your friends. If you've not subscribed, please do so. As we try to grow this channel, right, we want to provide a community, a place where we provide good information, good sound information, where you can take charge of your health, where you can avoid complications and live a healthy, fulfilling life. This is Dr. Dwain Woode from Diabetes and Endocrine Wellness Center and The Light Away, teaching you to understand your body and educating the public for a better you. Let's get some music and let's get on out of here. See you.